Good morning, everyone. This is SMD Mazharul Haq, Assistant Professor, Deputy Department, ISO Engineering College, and I am dealing the subject electrical measurements and instrumentation. In this electrical measurements and instrumentation, we are having the topic about the bridges, the AC bridges and DC bridges, out of which today's topic is about the Wayne's bridge and de Sauty's bridge. So let's move into the topic now. So first of all, we will discuss about what is the Wayne's bridge. So in the Wayne's bridge, the name is given by the scientist who has invented this bridge, and this bridge is a AC circuit in which we will be having this incorporation of this Wayne's bridge for determining the value of the unknown frequency. So here, this is the bridge to find out the unknown frequencies. As we will be using this particular bridge to find out the frequency, the bridge measures the frequency from 100 Hertz to 100 kilohertz. Like we are having several bridges which are measuring the resistance, capacitance, and also this particular inductance also. But now Wayne's bridge is measuring the frequency. Apart from this inductance, resistance, and capacitance measurement, the bridges also measure the frequency. The AC circuits have frequency as well, so these circuits will be measuring the frequency. Now we will see the accuracy about the bridges. Now this accuracy about the bridges is also an important thing, because the accuracy, if it is there, then only the bridges will be preferred. These bridges will be preferred here so that these bridges can be incorporated in AC circuits to measure the frequency. Now we will see the accuracy of the bridges between 0.1 to 0.5%. So it is very the accurate measurement is very accurate, so that we will have less error. So the bridge is used for various other applications also. So this bridge is used for various other applications like capacitance measurement, harmonic distortion analyzer, and in the high frequency oscillator. In the high frequency oscillator also we will be using this Wayne's bridge. So this Wayne's bridge is a very useful bridge which is being used for measurement of capacitance, inductance, as well as the frequency also. We will be using this Wayne's bridge. Now we will see this Wayne's bridge was one of the circuit which is measuring the particular frequencies ranging from 100 Hertz to 100 kilohertz. Now we will see other thing about the Wayne's bridge. What are the things that are affecting the Wayne's bridge, and also how it is difficult to obtain the balance point. We will see in this particular slide. So the Wayne's bridge is a frequency sensitive. What does sensitive means? A sensitive thing means whenever you are applying a small deviation in the frequency, then also it senses, and therefore the Wayne's bridge will not accurately measure the frequency. The Wayne's bridge will not accurately measure the frequency. So what happens is the sensitivity should be there, as well as it is frequency sensitive. It is difficult to obtain the balance point in it. Because it is frequency sensitive, we find it difficult to obtain the balance point. So it is very difficult to obtain the balance point in it, and because the input supply voltage is not purely sinusoidal, and they have some harmonics also. As these things have harmonics, so these harmonics should be eliminated such that they doesn't cause any frequency disturbances. If the frequency when it is frequency sensitive, then the input supply voltage is not purely sinusoidal, means they have some harmonics. So the harmonics of the supply voltage disturbs the balance condition of the bridge. So these balance condition of the bridge, if it is not attained, and if it is not balanced, then we will not get the proper reading of the frequency. So we can't calculate the frequency properly. So in this way, the harmonics should be reduced, and the harmonics should be eliminated from the circuit, so that the supply voltage is sinusoidal one, and therefore the harmonics of the supply voltage disturb the balance condition. And to overcome this problem, what we are doing is we are doing a filter. We are using a filter. Filter is incorporated in the bridge, and that filter connects in series with the null detector. As we all know that there is a null detector in the bridge, and that detector will be there, and the filter connects the series with the null detector, and seeing that the sensitivity is there, the frequency sensitivity is there. So to obtain the balance condition and to filter out the harmonics, we are using the filter here. So the harmonics are filtered, and therefore the particular thing, the supply is harmonic free, and also the supply is sinusoidal, and this sinusoidal voltage has the frequency, and this frequency is being measured by the Wein's bridge. This is the circuit of the Wein's bridge, where you are having this supply voltage is there, E supply voltage, as well as the supply voltage is connected to points A and C here. The points A is given as well as the point C is given, where it is the red dotted thing. And the red dotted thing is A and C points, and the B and D points are connected to the null detector here. If you see this figure properly, you will be observing these points A, B, C and D. In these points A, B and C and D, the particular thing AB has the voltage V1 as well as the BC has the voltage V3 and the CD has the voltage V4, and therefore AD is also having the voltage V2. So here we are having V1 and V2 are the two arms that are connected from A, and the voltages are V1 and V2. So the arms are AB and AD, and the voltages are V1 and V2. And the arms that are connected to C are R3, this the CB and this particular CD, and we are having here CB and CD connected with resistance R3 and R4 respectively, and these resistors are there. And in the branch AD or this particular arm AD, we are having a resistance as well as we are having a capacitance. So these resistances are mechanically coupled here, as it is shown that these two resistors are mechanically coupled between A and this AB arm and AD arm. They are having two resistors. These resistors are mechanically coupled, and one resistor is in series with this particular thing, and here it is in parallel. So here it is in parallel. So what we were talking about is the capacitor is in series here. So the capacitor will be in series to this particular null detector, and this the sensitivity will be there, and to filter out the harmonic, this capacitor is very much essential, and we will be giving the balance condition to the this particular null detector. So these supply voltages is E, and remaining voltage drops are V1, V2, V3 and V4. Now we know that the balance conditions will be occurring in this particular bridge, and these Z1, Z2 is equal to Z3, Z4, that is impedance is Z1, Z2 and Z3 and Z4 are respectively first arm, second arm, third arm and fourth arm impedances. So the balance condition is same for all the bridges. Now if you come to these bridges, what happens is the Wein's bridge is used to measure the frequency as well as unknown resistance, inductances and capacitances also. So now we see that the balance condition about the particular Wein's bridge. When the bridge is a balance condition, the potential of node B and node C will be equal. What is meant by the potential? The potential is nothing but the voltage. The voltage at the point node B and node C are equal. So we have two nodes here, node B and node C. These two potentials should be equal, so that what happens is the V1 is equals to V2 and V3 is equals to V4. V1 is equals to V2 and V3 is equals to V4 should be achieved now. If V1 is equals to V2 and V3 is equals to V4 is achieved, the phase R and magnitude of V3 is equals to I1 R3 and V4 is equals to I2 R4 are equal. So when we elaborate this one, V3 is equals to I1 R3 and V4 is equals to I2 R4. So you can see here V4 is equals to I2 R4 because I2 current is flowing here, and I2 R4 is the particular voltage drop, and we want V1 is equals to this V3 is equals to I1 R3. This is I1 current flowing here, and here the I1 current is shown, and therefore I1 into R3 gives you the this particular voltage drop V3. Voltage drop V3 is observed, and also the voltage drop V4 is observed because the currents are in series here. The current I1 will flow here and the current I2 will flow here in these two branches AD and DC. The same current flows whereas here AB and BC the same current flows here. So this is a junction, and from the junction again the current I1 plus I2 comes back to the this particular source voltage. So here completes the circuit. As we know that the voltage drops are I1 R3 and V4 is equals to I2 R4 will be equal from the balance conditions, and they are overlapping each other. The current I1 flowing through the arm BD, the current I1 is flowing through arm BD, and the current I2 is flowing through the arm uh, flowing through R4 is also in phase along with the I1 R3 and I2 R4. So here we can see that the current is here is I1 is there, as well as here I1 is there. So we see that this balance conditions is there, as well as we see the balance conditions here. These balance conditions V3 is equals to I1 R3 and V4 is equals to I2 R4. But the current I1 flowing through arm BD and the current I2 flowing through R4 is also in phase along with the I1 R3 and I2 R4 is given. So where is BD here? This is the BD, and this is a particular thing BD here, and it will be in phase here. So we see that these particular voltage drops will be calculated, and the total of the voltage drops will be done, and the total voltage drop across the arm AC is equal to the sum of the voltage drops I2 R2 across the resistance R2. So if you see here, the voltage drop across AC is calculated. Where is AC? This is the voltage drop across AC. This one is the A, and here is C. So the voltage drop across AC should be calculated such that if the voltage drop across AC is calculated, and we see this voltage drop is the sum of the voltage drops I2 R2 across resistance R2 and the capacitive drop, that is I2 by omega C2. So this is nothing but the total voltage drop that is calculated between AC and AC. It will be equal to the sum of voltage drop of I2 R2 and the capacitive drop of I2 omega C2. So you can see the picture and see how this voltage drop was calculated. This is the resistance, and this resistance was mechanically coupled, so we are taking here R2, and here it is the voltage drop across the capacitor also taken. So these particular things are taken into consideration, and when the which is in the balance condition, the voltage V1 and V2 both are equal in magnitude. So where is the voltage V1? This is the voltage V1 and this is voltage V2. So these V1 and V2 voltages both are in equal magnitude. So these are both in equal magnitude, as well as we will see that this current is flowing here I2 j omega C2 and I2 R2 are the voltage drops here. So we see that these voltage drops are is in balance condition, then the voltage V1 and V2 are both are equal in magnitude and phase, and therefore the phase of the voltage V1 and the voltage drop IR R1 across the arms R1 is also same. Now the resistance R1 is in same phase as that of the voltage V1. So here what happened is the resistance R1 is in the same phase as that of the voltage V1. So V1 is the same as well as this particular voltage. Now the phasor sum of V1 and V3 or V2 and V4 will give the resultant supply voltage. So what we have to do here is, students, we have to do the phasor sum of V1 and V3, and also we have to do the phasor sum of V2 or V4 to get the resultant supply voltage. So to get the resultant supply voltage, we have to do these things, like we have to do the phasor sums of the particular V1 and V3 as well as V2 and V4. So we have to keep in mind how the picture is there. By keeping the picture in my mind, and also the voltages V1 and V2 or V3 V4 correspond to which arm, we will be evaluating these particular things. So we can easily find out the remaining voltages, and we can find out the unknown resistances, capacitances, inductances as well. We can do in this particular calculations. So we will move to the next slide. In the next slide, we see that this is the balance condition. This balance condition, if you see carefully here, R1 by 1 plus j omega C1 R1, it is the first branch or first arm, R1 by 1 plus j omega C1 R1. Why? Because here we are having the capacitance in parallel, and therefore this is the scenario here. There R1 by 1 plus j omega C1 R1 into R4 is equals to and here we are having R2 minus j omega C2 into R3, R2 minus j omega C2 into R3. So we are calculating here Z1, Z4 is equal to Z2, Z3, the balance condition where Z1 refers to R1 by 1 plus j omega C1 R1, and where Z2 refers to R2 minus j by omega C2. Now what we are doing here is we are equating the real parts. If we equate the real parts, now we equate the real parts, but the equal parts will be telling that R1 R4 C2 is equals to R2 C2 R3 plus R3 C1. Now if we calculate this particular thing, R1 into R4 is equals to R2 into omega C2 minus J into R3 by omega C2, and therefore the omega C2 denominator comes onto this side, and 1 plus j omega C1 R1 denominator goes to the right side numerator. And after solving these equations, what you have to do is you have to equate the real parts. So we will having the real parts only equated here to see what is the condition that we are achieving. This condition is very important because from this condition only we will be able to get the particular calculation. Now if you see here, after calculations that has been done here, we are dividing by R1 R3 C2 on both sides. We are dividing by R1 R3 and C2 on both sides. If we divide by R1 R3 and C2 on both sides, what we get is we will be cancelling this R1 on the left hand side, and on the right hand side what you are cancelling here is you will be cancelling this R1, as well as we are not having an R1 here in our numerator, so we will cancel R3, and in this particular term we will be cancelling out R1 term. So here after cancellation of the terms, here you will see this one more term is also there, R1 and R3 will be cancelled, and here we will be cancelling this C2 and R3, and here we will be cancelling this LHS side, we will be cancelling C2 and R1. So all these things if you take into consideration, and we will be cancelling these things, what we get is R4 by R3 is equals to R2 by R1 plus C1 by C2. Now these balance condition gives us the yield or yields us this particular equation, and from this equation we will be solving the remaining part, and the remaining part can be like R4, if it is unknown we can calculate the R3, if the R3 is unknown we can calculate the C1, if C1 is known to us we can calculate C2 otherwise, and these are the balance conditions, and from these balance conditions we will be able to find out the other type of equations, other type of values which are required for calculating the unknown frequency or unknown capacitance or unknown inductance. Now this imaginary part also should be compared. So imaginary parts from the above equation, if it is compared, I have done this one, and this R3 R2 omega square C2 C1 R1 is equals to R3 will be the thing you will be getting here. And if you cancel this R3 on both sides, if it is cancelled on both sides, R3 is cancelled, you will be remaining with 1 on the right hand side, and R2 omega square C2 C1 R1 is remaining on the left hand side. If you are having this, then omega is equals to 1 by square root of R1 R2 C1 C2 is our solution for the finding out the frequency. So at last we got the solution, omega is equals to 1 by square root of R1 R2 C1 C2. Now these substitutions can be done by omega is equals to 2 pi f. If the omega is equal to 2 pi f, as we know that the omega is the angular frequency and 2 pi f is equals to the form or the expansion form of omega. Now this expansion form, what it is done, it is being given as f, and this f is being calculated. F is equals to 1 by 2 pi, because this 2 pi goes onto the right hand side, it is 1 by 2 pi square root of R1 R2 C1 C2. Now this slider of the resistance R1 and R2 mechanically connect to each other. Why? Because we have seen the figure already that R1 and R2 are connected to each other mechanically, so that they can be slide at the resistance. So here by sliding, what happens is R1 is equals to R2 is slided in such a way that R1 and R2 will have the same values. If you say that mechanical coupling means whenever the slide is moved, what happens is this R1 and R2 will be having the same values, exactly the values that are, if R1 is equals to 10 ohms, R2 will also be 10 ohms. If R1 is equals to 5 ohms, then R2 is also 5 ohms only. So this is the thing that has been done in this particular Wayne's bridge calculations, and we have got the result, that is F is equals to 1 by 2 pi square root of R1 R2 C1 C2. In practical also, students, you will do these particular calculations and find out the frequency for the Wayne's bridge. Okay. Now one more bridge is also there, that is called as a de Sauty's bridge. So de Sauty's bridge is also there, and in the Wayne's bridge we have seen about the calculation of the frequency. Now we will see about the de Sauty's bridge. What is a de Sauty's bridge? If you see here carefully, you are having this particular diagram for the de Sauty's bridge. For de Sauty's bridge, you will be having CT, C2 is the capacitor, and here the C2 is placed here. In this diagram you see C2 is placed here, as well as the C3 is nothing but a standard capacitor. Here C3 is placed, and this C3 is called as a standard capacitor, and the standard capacitor has values given in the on the printed or something there, it is on the capacitor itself. So standard capacitor will be there, and therefore R1 R4 is equal to the variable non-inductive resistances. So these are non-inductive resistances, and they are called as the resistances which are having variable non-inductive resistances. So variable non-inductive resistances means this is variable, R1 is variable as well as R4 is also variable quantities. As we know that V1 is the voltages across the arms, first arm and second arm it is V2, and the third arm is V3, and the fourth arm is V4. After knowing all these things, we have, and as usual we are doing in the bridges, the balance conditions will be achieved. In the balance conditions, we will write Z1 Z3 is equal to Z2 Z4, because the opposite arms of the bridge will be having the balance condition achievement, because here the flow of current is in such a way that we will be equating these voltage potentials, and from the voltage potentials we get the this particular balance conditions. So from the voltage potentials we will get the balance conditions. Whenever we are solving any balance condition, first we have to target over the voltages. They are the voltages that is to be calculated, and from the voltages we will get the impedances. Why? Because according to Ohm's law, V1 is equals to I1 into Z1, and therefore we will get this particular value for these resistances, and these resistances can be calculated by the knowing the potentials only. So what was the balance condition? In every balance condition, that is Z1 Z3 is equal to Z2 Z4. Suppose the first arm is there, the opposite arm will be the next thing that is to be written, Z1 Z3, and is equal to Z2 Z4. Z2 Z4 is nothing but here this particular arm impedance and this particular arm impedance. So if you see the figure, both are opposite only. Both are, this is opposite to this one and this is opposite to this one. So Z1 Z3 is equal to Z2 Z4 is the balance condition. If it is balanced, then the detector will not have any current to flow, and it shows null deflection or zero deflection. So detector is also a very important thing here in the de Sauty's bridge. So we will see now what is the calculation for this. I1 R1 is equals to I4 R4. I1 R1 is equals to I4 R4, where we are matching the potentials of these particular two drops here. So I1 R1 is equals to I4 R4. This is the thing. I1 R1 is equals to I4 R4. You are using this V1 and V4 are equal. So these are V1 and V4 are equal, because in parallel what happens is the voltages are always same. The voltages are always same from this particular thing, from this particular what we say, it is nothing but the rule in electric knowledge, where we can say that the voltages in parallel are equal and currents in series are equal. Therefore V1 is equals to V4. From this rule, what we say, V1 is equals to V4, I1 R1 is equals to I4 R4, and we get I2 into minus j by omega C2 is equals to I3 into minus j by omega C3, minus j by omega C3 here, because here we are having the same thing. The second equation represent this one, this particular circuit and this particular branch, and this particular branch, we are writing the equations. That is the second equation we are writing, and we say that these two equations represent the basic thing for solving any bridge. For solving any bridge, these two equations are very important. Why? Because whenever we see this bridge, we get an idea that I1 R1 is equals to I4 R4 and I2 C2 is equals to I3 C3. And this particular C3 and C2 can be written in terms of the impedances, and impedances can be written like this, as given in the equation minus j by omega C2 and minus j by omega C3. From the equation 1, I1 is equals to I4 R4 by R1. If we send R1 on this side, I1 is equals to I4 R4 by I1. Now putting it in second equation, this is the second equation, and here we will have minus j by omega C2 into, because I4 R4 by R1, I4 R4 by R1, because I2 is equals to I1. So I2 is equals to I1, therefore in place of I2 we will write here I1. So in place of I2 we can write I1, and therefore what happens here is in place of I2 we write I1, then I1 is equals to I4 R4 by R1, I4 R4 by R1. So what you do here is I2 into minus j omega C2 is equals to I3 into minus j by omega C3 calculation. We write this I1 value, and I3 is remaining like this only. So I1 is equals to I2. How can you say that? See the figure again. If you see the figure back here, I1 will be equal to I2 here. So because in series, I said the current is equal, so I1 is equals to I2. This is in series, where this is in parallel. So these things are being done here, and we see that the R4 is equals to R4 by R1, C2 is equals to 1 by C3. If you do this calculation, you can understand R4 by R1, C2 is equals to 1 by C3 as this is calculated. We should know the rules of the circuits here, how the current is in series or current is in parallel, we should know. And for almost all the circuit, the same rule applies, and we will only calculate the equations to get the desired values. So if the desired values are achieved, we finally get the unknown capacitance in terms of the standard capacitance. So C2 here is in the denominator will be C2 is equals to C3R4 by R1. So C3R4 by R1 gives you the particular capacitance, and this capacitance value is formed, and we can know the unknown capacitance by the de Sauty's bridge. So we can understand that the de Sauty's bridge, if it is given, only these many equations will be known to us, and by knowing these many equations we can find out the unknown value of the capacitance. So in the exam also you can find out the capacitance value if it is given as a short question, like you can find out what is C2 is equals to C3R4 by R1 by drawing the de Sauty's bridge diagram. We can tell how C2 is equals to C3R4 by R1. Now, de Sauty bridge is also used to compare the two values of capacitors as long as dielectric losses are negligible. So there is a condition here that in the de Sauty's bridge, what you are going to find out is the de Sauty's bridge is used to compare the two values of the capacitors. Here, how many capacitors are there? You can say that there are two capacitors. It is also used to compare the two values, because the equation is also given C2 is equal to C3 into R4 by R1. C2 is equal to C3 into R4 by R1, and therefore we can find out this particular capacitance comparisons, and these two values of capacitor can be compared, and the dielectric losses are negligible. And these dielectric losses, if they are negligible, what we can do is we can compare easily how these capacitance are being having the values, and these values are compared. And this is the de Sauty bridge phasor diagram. So if you see the de Sauty bridge phasor diagram, we are drawing a phasor diagram with V4 is equal to V1 and V2 is equal to V3. As we all know that V4 is equals to V1 in this particular circuit, because the voltages are in parallel, and if the voltages are in parallel, V4 is equals to V1. So if the voltage is equals to V1, then what we can draw the phasor diagram here. The phasor diagram mentions that V2 is equals to V3 and V4 is equals to V1. By seeing this V2 is equals to V3 and V4 is equals to V1, we can calculate easily this particular de Sauty bridge, and capacitor will be compared, as well as the dielectric losses are negligible. Then we can find this phasor diagram where V2 is equals to V3. As in the circuit, it is given that the potentials V2 is equals to V3 and V4 is equals to V1, because they are in parallel. And after elaborating V1 is equals to I1 R1, we can write even here I2 R1 also, because I1 is equals to I2. Now the resultant V will be given like this by calculating the resultant of V3 and V1 or V2 and V4 can be done here by these calculations. And here we have seen about the de Sauty bridge, as well as in the Wayne's bridge we have seen about the capacitance as well as resistance, inductance and frequency. But the Wayne bridge is mostly used to find out the frequency in the AC circuits. So this is the topic we have studied today, and we have analyzed about the balance conditions and how the balance conditions will be affecting the calculations of the frequencies as well as any unknown quantities of resistances, inductances and capacitances. So students, I would like to end my topic here, and we will be discussing the other bridges as well as we will be discussing the new things in the electrical measurements and instrumentation in the next class. So I am signing off here. Thank you.